Tough second half for the Hawks. You know, they were injured, they were out, and Melbourne United won the cheer. Is that what happened? I went into the dressing room. Surely the Hawks did not send this to a game 5. They had Froling out, they had Kell out. Surely not.
It was truly inspiring. That was honestly one of the most incredible efforts from a team, organisation, everything involved, for the Hawks to come into Melbourne with the adversity of being on the road, an elimination game, already down Trey Kell, to lose Sam Froling the way they did, and
that's our guy.
And again, Damon Lowry had
we apologise for that vagrant.
We had the white pages set up for him as well. He climbed up there in the middle of it. But it was truly inspiring. Credit to everybody. You knew they had enough weapons. You knew they still had enough weapons because they've got something else in that entire vibe, the bench unit, the heart that they played with. That was awesome to see, and that's going to go a long way into Sunday. You don't think that that'll translate a little bit into the home crowd? Unbelievable.
The two guys that stood out for me were Hickey and Olbrich. Olbrich with his footwork down low, he scored well, but Hickey was just special. And we've been talking about their bench all year long. He finally found the right connection in the fourth quarter to get that win.
Before we break down, the emotional hangover of this, what does this mean for both teams heading into Illawarra? We'll chat this one in the first half in particular. It was scrappy.
Yep.
Guys weren't making shots. The superstars we've seen for United, they didn't show up. Even Tyler Harvey having his time with it. What happened in that first half? Was it good defense, or have these teams just played each other enough now where it's going to be scrappy?
Well, I think that's one thing for sure. Every team, you've got all the playbooks out there. Everybody's scouting right down to the every single baseline out of bounds. But go back to the first quarter where Illawarra got out to a 10-point lead and Melbourne United struggled to score. I thought then that the Hawks should have been up 20. The Hawks kind of let them off the hook. And then the second quarter, Melbourne let the Hawks off the hook. They should have gone into halftime with a double-digit lead. No team really pulled away, and then the Hawks just made more plays down the stretch, led by Davo Hickey, led by Olbrich. It's a complete flip from Game 3, and again, we sit here. It's a yo-yo, this series.
Which is what we said. They needed to make plays down the stretch, and amazingly, they did it on demand, and it was these bench guys that came out and got it done.
But when you play the team 3 or 4 times in the last month or what, you know their plays better than they do. You know what I mean? So Chris Golding didn't get off because Swagler Bullock knows he's coming off screens or he's faking back door, and he struggled early. And that's what caused him not to be able to score.
And a credit to Wani, man. We've spoken about, we hype up CG43 that he is the toughest guy. He's probably the toughest, along with Bryce Cotton, the toughest individual matchup because you have to have, he's switched on mentally every single play. Yep. And Wani has not, for a single play, let up. He's trailing those screens. To keep Chris over 4 games, he hit some late threes here, he hit a couple there where they were tough shots. He has had the clamps on CG43 from the start of this series all the way to now, and it's as much a reason as anything that this is going to a Game 5.
As someone who loves all the intricacies with the game, breaking down footage, all of that, he is a fascinating watch defensively. The way that, so Shaylee's different defensively, he likes to fight through screens. You watch every time Chris Golding sets up for a down screen, one, he gets behind him, refuses to get screen, and then he's got the length and athleticism to arrive on the catch. He's had a couple of moments where he got his hand in the cookie jar today, off the ball, but overall, he's been fantastic all season long. One of the best defenders in the league, but he's standing up in the big moments. And you're right, we haven't seen that game yet from Chris Golding like we saw against Perth.
We forget, though, Wani's been around. He's only, 23, 24 years old.
And he's had experience in winning.
He's had experience. He's won a championship in Perth. He's won in Sydney. So he knows what he's doing, man. And he's a fiery sort of guy, and he takes it personally, and he's done a great job this series.
Man, it's still just unbelievable. We thought going to that first half was that second half, they were just hanging on. They were hanging on. They're going to get undone. It felt like it was emotion and momentum that pushed them over the line in this one. When you go into a game now where they've got a lot of time off between Wednesday and Sunday, Melbourne United are planning for a team without Froling. It's not going to be a surprise. When you can plan for something like that, it's a little bit easier. Do you think that's going to pose a massive, massive detriment to the team? Yeah,
it's going to be tough to cover for an entire game. And obviously that emotion and halftime understanding and seeing the extent of Sam Froling's injury, that's a heartbreaking injury for one of the brightest stars in Australian hoops. To go there, to gather around him, for him to come out of the locker room and sit on the bench there when you've got an injury like an Achilles injury, that inspires your team. And you saw the way they got around him at the end. So that is a credit to the character of him, but it's a credit to the character of that whole squad as well. The way they banded together for a fallen soldier. So it was awesome to see as a team perspective. It sucks. It's a really, really shattering story for Sam Froling. He'll come back bigger and stronger for sure. You'd never want to see that, and he's a great human being.
The real question is, will Kell play? And if Kell plays, you add another superstar. You add another guy who can score 20-plus points. If he's healthy and he plays well, then Illawarra have a real chance of winning this thing. I know the home team hasn't won, but Game 5 is a different beast.
You've won championships, and you've got far more playing experience than anything here. Your jersey hangs in the rafters. You remind us of that hourly. How do you see this final game? Because when you know exactly what each team is going to be doing, sometimes everything can go out the window, and it comes down to heart and it comes down to hustle. Melbourne United, you've been there where you lose a championship and you come back the next year. Who has the advantage in this season? Illawarra are doing it for Sam Froling. They got an injured brother, and I think that's pretty motivating because they love this guy. He's one of the best characters in the league. They love Sam Froling. And Melbourne United have got that taste of defeat last year. You've been there and done that with everything. Where do you sit at the moment?
Well, let me tell you something. It's a guessing game for all of us because we just don't know. Because if we had to guess, we'd say the home team would win, but they haven't won all series. So we're experts here. It's that kind of series where both teams are very good and both coaches are very good, and they got quality players. So whoever's good on that day will win the game.
This one's going to sting. Melbourne United. Sold out crowd. How loud it was for the Hawks. And credit the Hawks
and they did a good job. The crowd did a great job.
They did a great job considering it was a stinker of a goddamn game. It was a trash. That was trash.
But the credit to the Hawks fans. They came down. They were loud. They silenced it at the end. But that...
Come on.
That's why you're not on the thumbnail. But again, that's kind of emotional hangover now for Melbourne United. They had a chance to redeem themselves on their home floor. Tassie, almost 12 months ago, cut down the nets in a game 5. I'm going to look at you, Coach, from now on because of this bloke. They cut down the nets. They had a chance to redeem themselves. Forget about that heartbreak. They fall short now and have to go into Illawarra and do what they've done twice already. I can't see a championship series going where a home team doesn't win a game. It just doesn't happen.
That could play a role in their head, though.
For sure it will.
You're thinking about how we lost and we let our fans down and it was disappointing. We should have won it. Look, they're stacked from end to end, but sometimes your head plays funny games.
Man. So as we go over to Illawarra, the crowd at the moment, because I thought as of last game, they probably weren't as intense as they could have been.
But you better believe they're going to be loud this time.
Oh, my God, they're going to be rabid. They're going to be absolutely rabid. But how disappointing is that for Melbourne United? We spoke about that. I just want to nail down on that emotional hangover aspect of it because they had this game won. Yep. They walk into that locker room like this was one of the worst losses in that second half, I think, in the club's history, which is saying a lot. But that was a terrible loss, all things considered, for the Hawks. Like, I'm just not sure how you recover from it.
I got a question for you. You played for Dean Bickerman. What's his message now to the guys?
He's very good at that, and he obviously, well, firstly, he doesn't talk to the team after these games. It doesn't matter unless he thinks there's an actual moment. But for all the years that I played for him, the one thing he always did, he said he learned it from someone else, where he doesn't speak post-game. He lets it settle in. They'll come in with a blank slate. They've still got the professionals who have been there in the big moments, Delhi and Chris Golding, even Clark, the ones who have also tasted defeat. So they understand what it's like to kind of have to pick yourself back up. But they have to try and do it together. Because on the other side, going back, do you see the energy from Dan Greeter all game?
Yes.
Justin Tatum was yelling for someone to get up full court. You called it as well. Who's going to get up full court on Delhi? And they did that. They were pushing the pressure. Days came in.
What were they doing?
Days came in and had a very good impact as well. Everybody who stepped foot on the floor contributed in the right way, and that's why they could pull off this miraculous win. It's hard to call it a miracle because you actually look at the way they did it, and it was all heart. Yeah. It was the team that wanted it more, the team that refused to quit. They didn't play their best basketball, but they just found a way.
Trey Kell out of this lineup for this one could be a potential return. He was a bit of a game time decision tonight. Wednesday through to Sunday, there's a lot of time.
He'll play.
Do you think he's going to play?
He better play. Let me tell you something.
If you watch the pregame, he'll play. You don't want to get roasted again.
At the end of the day, yes, you hurt your knee. Get some medicine. Get something to help you prepare you on the floor. You need to play. This is game 5, win or lose. There is no coming back. And this will let us know what kind of player he is.
Certainly. What do you think of them without Trey Kell? Because it's interesting.
They look good, didn't they?
Yeah.
They didn't. They didn't look too bad.
Yeah.
They looked, I don't want to say they looked better because that's an all-NBL first teamer, but they looked hungrier and a bit more connected, especially
shared the ball.
defensively.
They shared the ball.
They look more connected. They still try to get Tyler Harvey going, but it's interesting when you've got a bench unit. And again, the bench unit was fantastic. And if anyone is surprised by that, you shouldn't be. Justin Tatum told us this bench unit beats the starters every practice.
It does.
Yep.
So
flip it.
But again, very, very rarely do you see a whole bench bench unit on the floor at one time because they're always going to sprinkle in the starters no matter how well they play in practice. When you lose 2 key starters, Justin Tatum has no choice but to roll out the majority of the bench unit. So it's no surprise for them that they came on and had that impact. They do it all the time. And again, the bench is always going to be the difference in a championship series. We're seeing right.
One of the gutsiest wins that we've seen in the NBL in a long time. I think back to the time when an undermanned Southeast Melbourne beat the Sydney Kings playing about 4 development players out there. It was one of those style ones. Everyone in the arena thought, hey, this is out. They could smell blood in the water. And you know what? The Hawks just patched up the wound and they said, let's keep rolling. This has been NBL Now. We will see you on Sunday on air at 2 p.m. 2:30 game. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Yet again, we're going to a decider.